Amber Johnston arrest. Why Amber Johnston arrested? I will explain everything. Beneath the surface of this picture-perfect reality TV family, a dark and persistent rumor has been festering. A rumor that has spread like wildfire through the hidden corners of the internet, on Reddit threads, in secret Facebook groups, and in hushed whispers among the show's most dedicated fans. A rumor so shocking, so out of character, that if true, it would not only end their television careers, but shatter the very foundation of the family they've built. The rumor? That Amber Johnston, the pillar of the Johnston clan, was arrested. But was she? What could a mother of 5, a beloved TV personality, possibly be arrested for? In this special investigation, we will pull back the curtain. We will trace the origins of this explosive allegation, examine the so-called evidence, and for the first time, reveal the definitive truth. This is a story of fame, family, and the terrifying power of a lie. Stay with us as we uncover what really happened. To understand the gravity of an arrest, you must first understand the woman at the center of the storm. Amber Johnston, born Amber Florist, wasn't born into the spotlight. Her story, like Trent's, is one of carving out a place in a world not always built for little people. From a young age, she exhibited a resilience and a determination that would come to define her entire life. I always knew I wanted to be a mom. I knew I wanted a house full of kids, a house full of noise and love. And I wasn't going to let anything or anyone stop me from having that. She and Trent met at a Little People of America convention, a classic love story that has become a cornerstone of their family lore. Their connection was immediate and powerful. They shared a vision, a family, a home, and a life lived on their own terms. They married, and their family grew, first with Jonah and Elizabeth, their biological children, and then their hearts and home expanded further. They embraced adoption, bringing 3 children from 3 different countries into their fold. This act alone speaks volumes about Amber's character, as seen by the public. It required immense organization, endless paperwork, and a fierce, protective love, all qualities that would become her on-screen trademark. When 7 Little Johnstons premiered in 2015, the world was introduced to Amber's distinct parenting style. She was, and is, the undeniable matriarch, the CEO of the Johnston household. On the show, Amber is the engine that keeps the family running. She manages the schedules, the finances, the schoolwork, and the often complex medical needs of her children. Her approach is pragmatic, direct, and at times, unflinchingly strict. She believes in rules, in respect, and in preparing her children for the realities of the world. Dr. Chloe. Amber Johnston represents a very specific archetype in the reality TV landscape. She's the tough love matriarch. Unlike other reality moms who might be more permissive or chaotic, Amber's brand is control. It's order. Her central conflict on the show often revolves around her trying to maintain that order as her children grow up and assert their independence. An arrest, a moment of complete loss of control, is so antithetical to her entire public identity that it becomes an almost mythological event in the minds of viewers. This tough love persona, however, has not been without its critics. Over the years, some viewers have labeled her as overly controlling, too harsh, or even manipulative. They point to her conflicts with her older children, particularly Anna and Jonah, as they've struggled for independence. Arguments over college, careers, moving out, and relationships have been central plot points for seasons. Amber's desire to protect her children sometimes clashes with their desire to make their own mistakes. It is in these moments of on-screen tension that the seeds of the arrest rumor find fertile ground. Viewers see the conflict, they see the stress, and the internet begins to speculate. Is there more to this tension than meets the eye? Is the pressure of reality TV causing cracks in the family's foundation? This is the public perception of Amber Johnston, a complex, dedicated, and sometimes controversial figure. A woman who has built her entire life around her family and the orderly world she has created for them. which makes the very idea of her in handcuffs all the more unthinkable and all the more tantalizing for those who watch from the outside. So where did it come from? A story this explosive doesn't just appear out of thin air. We traced the digital breadcrumbs back to their source, and what we found is a fascinating and disturbing case study in how modern misinformation is born. It didn't start with a bang, but with a whisper. We believe the first significant mention appeared in late 2023 on a notorious, non-moderated gossip forum. It wasn't a news report. It was a blind item. This matriarch of a large reality TV family, known for her strict rules and for living in the American South, recently had a run-in with the law that producers are scrambling to keep quiet. The alleged incident involves a heated dispute that got out of hand. The network is terrified of the squeaky clean image being tarnished. The post was anonymous, vague. It didn't mention the Johnstons by name, but for a fan base primed to look for drama, the clues pointed in one direction. Large reality TV family in the South, the Duggars, the Bates, the Plaths, and the Johnstons. Strict matriarch. The description fit Amber perfectly in the eyes of her critics. From there, the rumor mutated. It jumped from the obscure forum to more mainstream platforms. It landed on Reddit, specifically in subreddits dedicated to reality TV gossip, and the 7 Little Johnstons show itself. Did anyone else hear the Amber Johnston arrest rumor? Post. So I saw on a gossip board that a Southern reality mom was arrested, and they're covering it up. Everyone is saying it's Amber. Anyone have tea? Comment 1. OMG, I knew it. The way she treats Anna, it was only a matter of time. Comment 2. Probably a DUI. They're always drinking on that show. On Reddit, the speculation ran rampant. Users began connecting unrelated dots, creating a tapestry of conspiracy. They pointed to a 2-week period where Amber was absent from Instagram. She must have been in jail. One user claimed. They analyzed recent episodes, claiming Amber looked puffy-eyed or seemed on edge. Dr. Chloe. This is a classic example of confirmation bias. The audience has a pre-existing belief, in this case, that Amber is overly controlling or on the verge of snapping. They then actively seek out evidence, no matter how flimsy, to support that belief. An Instagram break isn't a sign of an arrest to a rational person. But to someone deep in a rumor mill, it's a smoking gun. It's a psychological phenomenon amplified by the echo chamber of social media. The next stage of the evolution was YouTube. Small, clickbait-focused channels, seeing the search traffic for Amber Johnston arrest, began producing low-quality videos. These videos often used robotic text-to-speech voices and presented the Reddit speculation as fact. The headlines were definitive. The content was pure fiction. But the algorithm doesn't always differentiate. These videos racked up tens, even hundreds of thousands of views. Each view, each comment, each share added another layer of legitimacy to the lie. The rumor had now achieved a critical mass. It looked real. It felt real. And people started to believe it. The final piece of the puzzle was the lack of an official denial. The Johnstons and TLC, likely operating under the standard celebrity PR rule of don't engage with baseless rumors, remained silent. But in the vacuum of the 24/7 news cycle, their silence was misinterpreted. To the conspiratorial mind, it wasn't a dismissal of the rumor. It was a confirmation. They were hiding something. The cover-up was real. And so, a vague, anonymous post on a gossip forum had transformed into a widely circulated fact. But a rumor is one thing. The allegations themselves are another. And the why behind this supposed arrest is where the story takes an even darker and more speculative turn. As the rumor of Amber's arrest solidified, the online chatter began to focus on the most important question: why? What could she have possibly done? With no official report, the internet's amateur detectives began crafting their own narratives, each more shocking than the last. We've identified 3 primary theories that have dominated the conversation. We're going to break them down, one by one, and examine the evidence fans point to. The first major theory revolves around money. The Johnstons are successful reality stars. Their TLC salary is estimated to be between $25,000 and $40,000 per episode. They've lived in a large, beautiful home. They started side businesses, including Trent's car sales and their online store. With money comes scrutiny. The speculation in this camp is that Amber, who manages the family's finances, was involved in some form of financial misconduct. The theories range from tax evasion to misusing funds intended for the children. Online forums buzz with questions. How can they afford that house? Are they paying proper taxes on their TLC income and their side hustles? Fans point to the family's business ventures as potential areas for trouble. They launched an online shop on Etsy selling various items. Speculators suggested, without any proof, that there could be irregularities in how that income was reported. For any small business or self-employed individual, like a reality TV star, tax law can be complex. You have income from the network, income from a business, social media endorsements. It's a lot to track. It's an area where people can make honest mistakes, and it's also an area that online sleuths love to target because it feels technical and mysterious. It's easy to throw around terms like tax fraud or embezzlement without needing any real evidence because it's a crime that happens on paper, hidden from view. This theory, while popular, holds little water under scrutiny. The Johnstons have been in the public eye for nearly a decade. Their finances are undoubtedly subject to review by accountants, lawyers, and the network. A financial crime that would lead to a sudden arrest is highly unlikely to have gone unnoticed for this long. But it speaks to a public fascination with the wealth of reality stars and a desire to see it crumble. The second, and perhaps most cited theory, is that the arrest stemmed from a domestic incident. This is where viewers' interpretations of on-screen behavior play a massive role. The relationship between Trent and Amber, while loving, is also portrayed as fiery and passionate. They bicker, they argue, and they are not afraid to disagree on camera. Proponents of this theory claim that one of these arguments simply went too far. The story that formed online was that a neighbor heard a loud fight and called the police, leading to a mandatory arrest under state domestic violence laws. To support this, users point to seasons where the tension between Trent and Amber seemed higher than usual. There were storylines about their intimacy issues, disagreements over major life decisions, and the general stress of raising 5 teenagers. Furthermore, this theory often ropes in the children. Speculators suggest the fight could have been between Amber and one of the older, more rebellious kids. The long-running tension with Anna is the most frequently cited example. Dr. Chloe. The domestic dispute theory is compelling to viewers because it feels like a natural extension of the drama they see on the show. They've seen the arguments, they've seen the tension. In their minds, the camera turns off, and that tension escalates. It's a narrative that writes itself. The problem is, it's also incredibly damaging and based on editing and producer-driven storylines, not reality. Every couple argues. But for the Johnstons, every argument is a potential clue in a non-existent crime. This theory is particularly insidious because it takes real, relatable family conflict and twists it into something criminal. It paints a picture of a household in turmoil, a picture that, while dramatic, has never been substantiated by any credible source. This is the darkest and most disturbing of the theories, and we want to be very clear. It is based on pure, malicious speculation. This theory posits that Amber's strict parenting crossed a line. That her tough love approach was, in fact, something more sinister, leading to an investigation by Child Protective Services and a subsequent arrest. This theory is fueled entirely by viewers who have long criticized her parenting style. They label her a narcissist or emotionally abusive, cherry-picking scenes to support their armchair diagnosis. A scene where Amber demands respect or enforces a consequence is reframed online as abusive. A moment of frustration is twisted into a sign of an unhinged personality. This theory gained the most traction during storylines involving Anna's departure from the family home. Amber's direct, and at times seemingly cold, approach to the situation was interpreted by some as cruel, rather than as a parent trying to teach a difficult life lesson. This allegation is the most serious and has the most potential to cause real-world harm to the family. Accusations of this nature, even when completely false, can have a lasting impact. Yet in the lawless world of online gossip, it's thrown around with reckless abandon. These three theories, financial crime, domestic dispute, and child endangerment, form the core of the why behind the arrest rumor. They are built on a foundation of misinterpreted scenes, confirmation bias, and a complete lack of factual evidence. They are a testament to the internet's ability to create a detailed, compelling, and entirely fictional narrative. But now, it's time to leave the world of speculation. It's time to enter the world of facts. We've examined the rumors. Now, we're going to find the truth. The official record is waiting. After weeks of dissecting rumors and analyzing fan theories, our investigation reached its most critical phase, the search for verifiable proof. In the United States, an arrest is a public event. It creates a paper trail, a digital footprint that with a little know-how can almost always be found. If Amber Johnston was arrested, there would be a record. Our search began in the most logical place, Monroe County, Georgia, where the Johnston family has resided for years. The first and most direct method to confirm an arrest is to check the official records of the local law enforcement agency. We conducted a thorough search of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office's online databases, including their public arrest logs, also known as the blotter, for the period in question, from late 2023 to the present day. These logs list the name of every individual arrested, the date, and the charges filed. We searched for Amber Johnston. We searched for Amber Florist, her maiden name. We searched for any Johnston in the age range that could be her. The result every single time was the same. Nothing. Zero record of an arrest. But we didn't stop there. Perhaps the arrest happened in a neighboring county. Perhaps during a family trip. We expanded our search to include the surrounding counties: Bibb, Lamar, Butts, Jasper. We cross-referenced their public records as well. Again, the result was a dead end. No record. No trace. The next logical step was to check the court system. An arrest is followed by a court filing. We accessed the Monroe County Clerk of Courts online portal, a public resource that tracks all criminal and civil cases filed within the jurisdiction. We ran the same names: Amber Johnston, Amber Florist. We looked for any potential charges, from minor misdemeanors like a traffic violation to more serious felony charges. The search yielded absolutely no criminal case files matching Amber Johnston. There were no records of charges being filed, no upcoming court dates, no history of criminal proceedings. Let us be unequivocally clear. After a comprehensive and exhaustive search of all publicly available law enforcement and judicial records in the Johnstons' home county and all surrounding areas, for the entire period of the rumor circulation, we have found absolutely no evidence to support the claim that Amber Johnston has ever been arrested. The paper trail that would inevitably exist simply does not. So what about the so-called evidence from social media? The Instagram absence? We reviewed her social media history. The break that fans pointed to was a period of less than 2 weeks, a perfectly normal time frame for a busy mother of 5 to be less active online. Shortly after, she returned to posting regular family updates, pictures with Trent, and stories about their daily lives, not the behavior of someone embroiled in a legal scandal. What about the network TLC, or the family themselves? Their silence, which speculators called a cover-up, is, in fact, the most logical response. Addressing such a baseless and outlandish rumor would only give it oxygen. It would lend credibility to a lie. The most powerful statement they can make is to ignore the noise and continue living their lives, which is exactly what they have done. The rumor of Amber Johnston's arrest is a ghost. It's a phantom, born of whispers and amplified by algorithms. It has all the hallmarks of a compelling story, a famous family, a controversial matriarch, a shocking secret. But is missing the single most important ingredient, the truth. So the case is closed. The rumor is false. But the story doesn't end there. Because while the arrest may be fiction, the impact of the rumor is very, very real. We must ask ourselves, what is the human cost of a lie like this? Behind the television screen, behind the Instagram posts, are real human beings. Amber Johnston is not just a character. She is a wife, a mother, and a grandmother. Imagine, for a moment, waking up to find thousands of strangers online accusing you of heinous crimes, dissecting your every move, and proclaiming you've been arrested. Imagine your children seeing these things, your friends and extended family. Dr. Chloe. There's a dehumanization that occurs with reality stars. Because they share a part of their lives, the audience feels a sense of ownership. They feel entitled to all of it. They forget there are private moments, inner thoughts, and real feelings that are not part of the television narrative. A rumor like this isn't just gossip. It's a form of psychological violence. It's an attack on a person's character, their reputation, and their family's sense of safety and peace. This entire affair serves as a powerful and cautionary tale about the world we live in. It highlights the immense responsibility that falls on us, the consumers of media. It is easy to get swept up in the drama, to click on the sensational headline, to participate in the gossip. It gives us a dopamine hit, a feeling of being in the know. But we have a choice. We can choose to question the source. We can choose to look for evidence before we believe. We can choose to remember the humanity behind the screen. While the internet was busy inventing a scandal, the Johnston family was busy living their lives. They were celebrating milestones, navigating challenges, and continuing to share their journey, seemingly unaware or simply unbothered by the fictional drama being written about them. Their reality, the one of family dinners, work, and love, continued, completely separate from the dark fantasy playing out in online forums. The story of Amber Johnston's arrest is not really the story about her at all. It's a story about us. It's a reflection of our culture's appetite for scandal and our willingness to believe the worst, even in the absence of proof. It's a mirror showing us the dangerous power we wield with every click, every share, and every comment. So we began this journey with a simple, shocking question. Was 7 Little Johnstons star Amber Johnston arrested? We've traveled deep into the heart of the rumor. We explored the public persona of Amber Johnston, the tough love matriarch, whose on-screen personality made her a target for speculation. We uncovered the genesis of the lie, a vague blind item on a gossip forum that spiraled into a firestorm of confirmation bias, fueled by Reddit, YouTube, and social media. We dissected the 3 main allegations: financial crimes, domestic violence, and child endangerment, and revealed them to be nothing more than speculative fiction, built by stitching together out-of-context show moments. And finally, we conducted a thorough, fact-based investigation. We searched the official, public records of law enforcement and the courts. And the verdict is in. The rumor that Amber Johnston was arrested is definitively and unequivocally false. More update. 7 Little Johnstons fans beg Trent to dump abusive Amber. Trent cries as he shares eulogy for dad, but why? And fans diagnose Trent Johnston's serious illness. I will explain everything. 7 Little Johnstons fans beg Trent to dump abusive Amber, but why? Many viewers of 7 Little Johnstons have recently demanded that Trent Johnston leave his abusive wife, Amber, demonstrating the widespread disapproval of the actress. As a result, what are people saying based on the most recent conversation? 7 Little Johnston's followers unanimously agree that Amber Johnston is the most despised family member. Everyone knows that Amber and Trent are very authoritarian in their home, but most people think that Amber is the real powerhouse. Whether she's interacting with her spouse or children, Amber always comes out as distant and calculating. That may be useful in some contexts. But dealing with loved ones calls for a touch more delicacy, and many viewers of 7 Little Johnstons feel that Amber is woefully lacking in that area. 7 moments from season 15 of Little Johnstons have featured Trent Johnston coping with his brain condition, for instance. According to TLC Scenes, Trent is going through a terrible period, but viewers are upset at Amber because she keeps making the situation about her. Also, when someone like Trent needs extra assistance during this tough time, her overall demeanor makes her seem harsh and indifferent. Countless viewers think Trent would be wise to leave Amber for a more supportive relationship for reasons like these. Earlier last month, 7 Little Johnstons viewers brought up an even older instance of Amber's aggressive behavior toward Trent. The most selfless person in this house is Amber, she says after ripping her husband a new one and calling him out. 7 Little Johnstons fans, unsurprisingly, had a lot to say about it, with many demanding that Trent Johnston leave abusive Amber. Recently, someone commented, "If she believes that about herself, she's the one who's always out of tune in that house. She truly does believe it about herself," mentioned another commenter. A narcissist would think and act that way. Additionally, a third individual expressed their wish that he will simply leave her. Once that happens, he'll be able to meet a lovely woman to spend your time with. He needs to quit being so gross. Maybe the new one will tell him that. How selfless of her to micromanage her varied adult children's lives and treat her kids so differently, it's painfully obvious who's the favorite. Another person wrote, "I pray he meets a woman of a normal size," one user continued. The animosity and envy that Amber feels toward those of average height and weight is immense. Steal a move from Mad Har, but spare us the infidelity and protracted divorce. 7 Little Johnstons, Trent cries as he shares eulogy for Dad, but why? Watch as Trent's father, Poppy, passes away on 7 Little Johnstons. In a recent video, Trent delivers his eulogy to his family while visibly distraught about his loss. Trent also shared a life lesson he had with his dad at the touching occasion. The 7-member Johnston family, headed by Trent and Amber, deals with dwarfism in their TLC series, 7 Little Johnstons. The family has gone through a lot since the series premiered in 2015, and fans have witnessed their growth, changes, and emotional moments. The former's parents' care became an increasing priority for the family in season 15. Sadly, Trent's dad, Walter P. Lawrence Johnston, also known as Poppy, passed away in the 7th episode. On March 10, 2024, Trent's dad went away. His passing occurred when he was 90 years old. Previous news has it that on March 12, 2024, Trent paid respect to his father on Instagram. "Our Poppy, a man from heaven," it read, accompanied with a blue love emoji. The episode recently featured Trent reading a eulogy to his family. His father, he revealed, was an ardent supporter of the Atlanta Braves and the Georgia Bulldogs, and he fondly recalled his time with Poppy. "It was at Fulton County Stadium that I went to a few Braves games with him. No matter what, he would park in the driveway of this elderly man and who knows, maybe even pay him a little." Trent went on to say that he and his dad made regular trips to the same elderly street vendor to get boiled peanuts. Mr. Pete would always be greeted by the Peanut Man, he went on to explain. "A question I had for Dad was how he kept his name straight. Being a tiny kid, people will always remember you. That was one of the many life lessons Dad imparted to us. The impression you leave behind is entirely in your hands." It was also stated by him, "We are little people," Trent went on to say. "Our stature may be used as a criterion by some. Son, give that person a good squeeze when you shake hands. Be strong and let them see it." When Trent's parents passed away, he reflected on the sadness of losing a loved one in the confessionals. "But now that we have someone else to talk to, it's a blessing that our dad was a devout Christian like Poppy. And I'm simply not saying that," Trent added with an assurance. "I assure you, I truly do mean that. Now we just got to get through tomorrow." Trent said after hearing some encouraging comments. Many admirers expressed their sadness in the Instagram post. A lot of people related to Trent's message about his father's teachings. Comments such as extremely moving words were made. My deepest condolences on your loss. You will never be alone with him. Poppy, may you find eternal peace. It breaks my heart that we live in a society that discriminates based on weight. Please accept my deepest condolences. You seem like wonderful individuals. It's not easy to part ways with those we care about. I can't even begin to fathom the depth of your sorrow. My heart goes out to you. My thoughts and prayers are with you all. Your family is beautiful. 7 Little Johnstons fans diagnosed Trent Johnston's serious illness. New episodes from Season 15 of the Family TLC show Little Johnstons have seen Trent Johnston dealing with health concerns. According to certain admirers, some viewers claim they have discovered Trent's real problem in certain situations. Can you tell me what the audience is saying about him and what they believe is the true problem? Throughout Season 15, viewers of 7 Little Johnstons have witnessed how Trent Johnston's health has played a significant role in his plot. Because of what began as vertigo symptoms, he decided to see a doctor. The next thing Trent knew, he was 47 years old with the intelligence of an 80 to 81-year-old. He finally broke the news to his children, and the confession was as harsh as it was terrifying. His brain was shrinking at an alarming rate. The sight of Trent, who has been an inspiration to his kids for so long, struggling with this was terrifying for them. Some viewers of 7 Little Johnstons believe they have an idea of what's wrong with Trent Johnston based on everything he's been through recently in terms of his health. From the safety of their computers, some are speculating as to Trent's actual illness, and the theories put out are intriguing. Recently, one reader speculated that Trent might be suffering from mold-related disease. The anonymous poster informed Liz and Anna, "Your dad has mold illnesses. I can't handle seeing Trent's health deteriorate the way it has since moving into this house." Knowing that he had a black mold exposure that he remedied himself, without a respirator, without negative air pressure to be sure the mold didn't spread to the rest of the house, without air filters, and without a mold inspector to see where it had migrated, the commenter concluded. Even though someone else brought this up a few weeks ago, I was too embarrassed to post again for fear of receiving a large number of downvotes. After all, this is something that has affected my family in the past, and they all had neurological symptoms. The same individual went on to say, and no, not everyone in the house will suffer the neuro effects. My husband at the time was absolutely fine in the same home that we deteriorated in. Our symptoms varied, but after we remediated properly and received treatment, they all subsided slowly. When Amber said, "We just need to spray some bleach on the rest of the areas we didn't tear out," I felt a sigh of disgust. No, repairing it in that way is incorrect. You may remember from the TLC documentary about the sextuplets' parents that they had to evacuate their home for months due to mildew in a closet. Unfortunately, it has a profound impact on those it touches. This may be a long-term effect of poisons, depending on how long he was working landscaping and spraying potential chemicals. Another person added, following a similar line of thinking, the mold problem is critical, and they ought to conduct tests, if nothing else. 7 Little Johnstons fans worry for Trent's future as brain worsens. Many fans are worried about Trent Johnston and his future, and viewers recently expressed their concerns regarding his neurological health, which is now prominently featured in his 7 Little Johnstons plot in Season 15. The father and husband is coping with a terrifying medical condition, as viewers of 7 Little Johnstons have witnessed. It has to do with his brain. Previous episodes of Trent's TLC show reveal that he began experiencing vertigo symptoms. He received a diagnosis after things had gotten terrible enough. The show's dramatic sequences depict Trent's final confrontation with his children. His mind was as sharp as an 80-year-old at the age of 47. It was undoubtedly worrisome for the whole family given the current trajectory. Although many viewers of Seven Little Johnstons despise Amber Johnston, Trent Johnston is really rather popular. Because of this, a lot of people are worried about him and his future. To make matters worse, dementia is hereditary in his family. Fans will not put their faith in Amber if Trent's illness deteriorates over the next few years. It is especially important to prioritize Trent's well. The future care he may require is of the utmost importance. Someone recently said, "I get dementia runs in his family, and he apparently hit his head a lot as a child or fell." But people do drugs their entire lives, have brain injuries, and severe accidents, and still don't have brains as damaged as his. Which brings us to our point. What makes it so terrible? Trent may be at risk for dementia in the next 5 to 10 years if his brain is already in its 80s, as his dad acquired it in his 90s. For how many years does dementia typically last? Having a father who died from the same sickness as me and a wife who is so heartless and tormented by his passing wouldn't bring any comfort. If he were to tell me she isn't very supportive in that manner and that he should make preparations ahead of time, it wouldn't help. I would prefer not to leave all to Amber in the event that things go so terrible that he can't live at home anymore. Therefore, I would investigate home healthcare agencies, alternative treatments, and nursing homes. And he knows that in the end, she will do what she thinks is best, regardless of whether the kids agree or not. Given Trent's LP heritage, it might be a combination of his age and stature. LP people are known to have larger skulls, another user speculated. Because the correct professionals weren't summoned to remove the mold, it could also be dangerous mold. However, Trent should start checking for early-stage dementia as well, since dementia can be hereditary. However, I would also investigate the possibility of mold toxicity. Fans drag Trent for being unsafe with Leighton. Since Leighton Bolden has made her way onto TLC sets, many fans of Seven Little Johnstons have been worried about her well-being. A number of viewers have recently criticized Trent Johnston for allegedly placing his granddaughter in a dangerous situation. Whoa, what just transpired? And how are people reacting to the latest scenes? Ever since Leighton Bolden made her debut in season 14 scenes last season, many Seven Little Johnstons fans have been supervising her every move. The arrival of a new baby always brings with it a plethora of updates, so part of it is just plain curiosity. On the flip side, that same coin has also been keeping an eye out for Leighton's well-being. Fans have already criticized Trent Johnston on multiple occasions for endangering his grandchild. On one occasion, viewers blasted Trent for planting a kiss on infant Leighton while he was sick with a cold sore. The whole family has been pitching in to monitor Leighton while Liz and Bryce Bolden have been at work, as viewers of Seven Little Johnstons have seen in recent moments. Audiences were quick to criticize Trent after recent events because they felt he was endangering baby Leighton again. The absence of a handrail on the stairway was once again brought to the attention of Seven Little Johnstons fans. On top of that, Trent has to deal with Leighton's vertigo problems while he carries him about. A lot of individuals think that not having a railing is a certain method that something bad will happen. The fans of Seven Little Johnstons have strong opinions. Viewers are understandably divided on Trent's coping with vertigo while lugging his young granddaughter up a handrailless stairway. Trent has already acknowledged to having problems with falling and not being able to break said fall because little people have shorter arms, which makes things worse. Consequently, this recipe is seen by many viewers as risky. "Why isn't there a handrail on the staircase?" said one commenter. "Did anybody ever take note of that? You might want some assistance if you're experiencing vertigo while holding a newborn." It felt even more unsafe because of their physical differences, a second commenter added. "I only recall Allie's drooping legs causing her to come dangerously close to slipping down the steps. They should definitely put something in." Someone else said, "I absolutely remember Allie pinballing her way down." No more today. What are you thinking about this gossip today? Let us know in the comments, and stay tuned by subscribing to our channel to get more updates like this. Thank you.